Hi guys, how are you? Welcome back to my garden on a really nice warm spring day again. And I think you get to see my back. This is a new perennial border. Some first tulips are in here and it starts to fill up. All those plants are really coming with a lot of growth now. So at one point I predict in 2 weeks from now all the brown mulch will be gone. Well, not gone, but just hidden basically, because all those plants will really have a lot of growth and be beautiful and lush. And I kind of predict an entire garden tour is on its way at one point. But before that happens, a lot of jobs are on their way, because you know it, May is a busy time in the garden. Not only do I have still a lot of plants sitting on the driveway waiting to be planted, I also have a lot of annuals that I was sowing together with you, and I need to kind of start separating some of them. And then there's a lot of going on in the vegetable garden as well. And this is exactly what I want to do today, where I want to take you today. So today we're going to work a little bit in the veg garden. And what I want to do first, obviously, is flip the phone and just show you the situation, because a lot of things are looking really good and exciting, and then tell you what we're going to do in today's video. So hope you're excited. This is the vegetable garden on the right side of the slope. You know it well, I suppose. On the left, there is my experimental cut flower garden / testing ground for new perennials, where we were working yesterday. And today I'm going to take you with me to the other side. We're in the afternoon and this area is always filled with a lot of sun, which is beautiful to work here. And obviously it's amazing to grow vegetables, because most vegetables, they do really love and need a lot of sun. So what I want to do first is just show you the situation of what happens here. So this is the first raised bed where I was already gardening a little bit with you, and all my salad crops are in here, plus cilantro. And look at this here. This was the biggest surprise at all. When I left, there were still tiny plants in there, and 2 weeks later, this is the situation now. Isn't that fantastic? I'm almost about to start harvesting, so I think maybe even today I could just remove the cloche, because this is just fantastic what happened in there. And there is a difference between those plants that were not protected and then those that were protected. I mean, look at this. Isn't that fantastic? Here I have rows and rows of normal salad that you can just pluck leaves from. So I have got a red variety here, which is looking really nice as well. Going to put the cloche back on. And then I have a row of green salad in here. I'm kind of surprised that I have 3 rows of red and just 1 of green, but I don't really mind. Then I have rocket in here, and it starts to germinate already, which is really intriguing. I never grew rocket before, so I'm kind of excited when those leaves are finally going to look like rocket. And this is the variety. It is called Dragon's Tongue, and it has kind of purple streaks running through the leaves, which is going to be very intriguing. And then here's my cilantro, and there is also a big difference between those that were not protected and those plants that were protected. So already I have some first true leaves. Can't wait to get in here. I love cilantro, even though it's very soapy, and I know that a lot of people don't like it. I love it. But what I want to do today, first thing that I want to do is take care of this here. So on the other raised beds, I just put some of those plants that I'm about to plant out into the landscape, or at least start potting them on. And this is one of those trays that I prepared just before I left. So I have cucumbers in here, and they're going to stay in there. But then I have sweet corn, and look at that. It was not really hot here, but still germination was perfect. Most all of them came up, and they're definitely ready to be planted out into the landscape. So this is one of the projects that I am going to do today. But what I'm going to not do today, but what I want to show you is what happens here. This is an entire tray full of amaranth, 2 different varieties, and I'm so excited about that. This was kind of an experiment, and they germinated extremely well. This is a variety. I have labels in here. What is it? Autumn Palette. And they come in all different kind of autumnal colors, so kind of like peach and rusted coppery colors. So I think that they will be so beautiful on the other side of the slope. And then here is a green variety where the leaves and stems are looking red, which really surprises me a little bit, because normally there's always an indicator for red flowers. So I'm a little bit so about this one here, if this is going to find its way into the front garden, because I really don't want to have red flowers in the front garden. So let's see. But over here I do have, well, kind of very leggy looking amaranth. This is velvet curtains. This is red, but that was just a little resowing, so I have more of those anyways. And here, this is so amazing. These are my Rebecca cherry brandy, and they look really fabulous already. No slug or snail damage yet, and they're ready to be potted on. And over here, they are also looking really nice. All of my peppers, my bell peppers and my chilies are all looking fantastic, especially the chilies are looking great. So I can't wait to put them into one of those raised beds, but that is not going to happen today. Then I have a couple of more plants there. I've got some sweet peas there and I have got some sunflowers in there. And then in here I have got more amaranth. So this is a second patch of velvet curtain, the red one, which is going to be quite important for the back garden. So most of them are looking really nice. Some are kind of just like laying in here now, but I think that they'd be so happy. So obviously I potted those on already and can't wait for them to pick up some growth so I can finally put them into the landscape. This is what is going on the top layer of the vegetable garden. So I want to take you now with me to the second terrace, because you know, the entire slope is built into terraces, so I can finally really work in here and it's just easier to maneuver around, because on the second terrace, this is where I'm going to grow most of my vegetables, and there's something in pots waiting to finally get into the ground. Clearly not the vegetable garden. This is the tragic end of the Christmas tree that was standing next to the main entrance. So when I came back home, I was like, all right, that changed the color to a color which is not Christmassy. Well, if it's an ornament, it's beautiful and Christmassy, but not for the tree. So yeah, that was straight for the compost heap. I still need to cut it down though, but this is going to happen another time. That can wait. So what happened is, here I had my rows of potatoes and they showed first leaves, so I quickly backfilled everything and I was weeding, because 2 weeks of nicer, warmer temperatures and the weeds were just popping up like crazy. Here I have got some cauliflower and I had cloches over them, and I removed those cloches yesterday and the cauliflower looks fantastic. And you can tell that here they are kind of like purplish already, so I am expecting purple cauliflower out of these and probably white ones over there. And I was resowing already some more in a tray yesterday. My onions and leeks, you can't really see anything yet. They don't really show lots of growth yet, so I'm kind of intrigued to see what happens. But what happens over here is really nice. I was sowing some sweet and they starting to germinate, so tiny leaves are appearing already. And the beets are also looking really fantastic. Can't be happier with them. So are the artichokes. Not a single plant is lost, but look at that. This is what I want to plant today, and that really excited me when I came back home. Here are my fennel plants and they look just fantastic. They're a little bit of a tangle right now, but see, they already really starting to look like little fennels here. Beautiful, strong top growth. They were outside already for a couple of days. They hardened off, so I can't wait to put them into the ground here. In the back there are some bearded iris, so I obviously need to put them somewhere else. So what I want to do is put the sweet corn in 2 rows here and then the fennel in front of it, because the sweet corn will grow taller and the sun comes basically from this direction here, over the farmland and then over from that side. And this is when you plant something, you always need to know where the sun comes from, so that the tallest plants are in the background and not blocking the sun for the smaller plants. And next here, I also have my trellis that we built together, and I put some beans already in there, and the germination is fantastic as well. Look at those tiny little beans are appearing. So happy to see how the garden really comes back to life. I've cleared and prepared this area here, and you might be wondering why I'm kind of just on my tippy toes on these wooden planks here, and there's a reason for it. Because before I came in here, what I did is I just raked everything over and lofted up the entire soil before I plant something, and then you put the wooden planks in your vegetable gardens and you only move on these. Because if I would step on the ground now, I would just press everything down again. It would be compact again. But I want the soil structure to be nice and lofty so that my vegetable plants have the ability to root in extremely well. And this is why on this area here, I have all these wooden planks. And also this is for me a good separation to know where I'm growing what. And over the years, I can also rotate my crops, most of them though, because the corn pretty much needs to stay somewhere in the background. I can never put it right there in the front. But what I want to do is give you a quick info about corn and sweet corn and why I'm just growing one variety, and I've already given you a little bit indicator in the video when I was sowing them. But when you grow corn and you have a vegetable garden the size that I do, I would recommend just grow one variety. And this really has to do with how sweet corn is pollinated. It's not done by insects, it's done by wind. And when you have two varieties of corn growing too close to another, you will have cross-pollination and you will not have the corn that you actually sowed and that you think you will harvest. So what I could do in theory is I could grow some corn here and then at the front of the house, because our property is quite long and elongated, so there is enough distance in between. But in the front garden I don't want to have corn, and I think one variety is more than enough. In total I think I have, I don't know, counted maybe 15 plants, maybe more, and I see 2-3 more in there, maybe still germinating, so I'm going to have a closer eye on that obviously, but still I want to start planting. And what I do, it is very, very simple actually. I just come in with my starting fertilizer, always the same, some organic bone chips, just a little bit, just sprinkle them in the area where I will plant the corn, and then I just come in with my fingers to make a little hole. And because I've lofted up everything, planting is super nice and easy now obviously. I'm going to give you a closer look in a second, as always when I do the actual planting. And then I just come in with this really handy tool here, because when you sow something in a plug or in a module, in a tray, there's not a plug, in a tray like I do, lifting those plants, you do not want to disturb the roots. You want to make sure that these plants are gonna continue thriving very happy, and this tool here is ideal. Normally I use it to remove my dandelions from the lawn, but here I could just find my way around it, and now I can lift it without disturbing the roots too much, and a lot of the soil can stay on here. So all I do is put it in here now, exactly the same height to how it was growing into its module. Really lovely. And what I can do is really just like plant all of those sweet corn in rows now. I think I'm going to have 2 rows, and let's see how many will go here. Maybe I just have these rows here, and then I have enough space for fennel here, and maybe some more fennel in here I need to see. Or maybe I buy more of the same corn. I just need to see how it performs. But this is the talking. What I'm going to do now is start planting the corn, and then I will also plant the fennel. Sweet corn is in the ground, and I have 14 plants in total, and I'm happy about that. You know, there's only so much sweet corn that one person can eat, and this is the first year I'm ever trying it. I've done my research, I know how to grow corn, I think, but let's see. And if I'm only gonna harvest 1 corn on the cob, this is already going to be a triumph for me. Still fingers crossed that there'll be more than just 1, fresh from the barbecue. That has been so delicious. I can't wait for it though. Next thing I'm going to do is show you how I plant the fennel, and there I definitely know what to do and how to do it because I've done it in the past, and fennel is extremely easy to grow. For me, fennel is one of those vegetables that doesn't only taste delicious, the plant also looks absolutely fantastic because you have this really beautiful, airy, feathery foliage, and then as the plants mature they grow really long, nice flower stems with these disc kind of flower heads in a pale yellow, very small, delicate blooms. Beautiful. So if you have a smaller kitchen garden and you are kind of restricted in space and you need to make a decision on what to grow in your kitchen garden, and fennel might be a little too big for you, but the rest of your garden is more of a cottage garden, you can easily put these into your borders. The same applies to most of the cabbages or kales because they just have an elegant and kind of like really interesting texture, and so does the fennel obviously. I've seen a couple of gardeners who only grow them in the borders and not even to harvest them, but I definitely want to harvest them because fresh roasted fennel or from the barbecue is really delicious. I just love the taste, the flavor, or a salad. Just fresh chopped fennel with grinded pepper, some orange, nice apple vinegar over it is so delicious, and you can already tell here how nice they're growing into the actual fruit shape. So what I'm going to do is plant them and give you a closer look on how to plant them. Up close you really get to see that this is the actual fennel fruit that you will harvest later on forming already, and this is a beautiful sight. And then close again, this is the foliage. I think this is absolutely beautiful, and I can't wait for this entire area of the veg garden to really fill up with the fennel. very important before you plant anything is check the root system. So all I do is just gently lift it out of its container. And I don't even need to do it gently. Look at this. The roots, perfect. They have rooted in extremely well. Nothing is really pot bound. Well, maybe a little bit here at the base. So I could just come in and just break them up a little bit, but this is perfect. Whenever you lift a plant out of its container, you want to make sure that the soil does not crumble away and that the roots really hold the shape of the soil, which they do. So this is perfect. What I do is I've already prepared a planting hole here. So I just come in just with a few sprinkles of organic bone chips as my starting fertilizer. And then the fennel goes in. The hole is a little too deep, so I'm going to backfill a little bit with some soil. Make sure that I plant it dead level because this is how it grew in its pot. And then firm it in nicely. And this is all I'm going to do. So when these roots are going to, there's some plastic in here. So when these roots are going to go down now, they will anchor the plant better because this area is exposed to the wind coming from west, so from this direction over there. But the plant is so feathery and beautiful that I know this is going to work extremely well. What I'm going to do is plant all the other fennels now in a nice row here, or in 2 rows actually. All the fennel plants are planted, and the last thing I did is I came in with 2 cans of water and just watered everything in thoroughly. And this is something I need to remind myself to do because the area is not mulched, which means that the soil is going to dry out faster because it is really southwest facing and basking in the sun. And I'm not so good with my watering regime, but I think I should just remind myself every second evening to just get back here with my hose, water everything. And the irony is I keep on forgetting about it, but I really love to water because there's something so meditative about it. And you're just like enjoying the landscape and the nature and the sun that is out there right now. And speaking of it, I should probably water all of my containers that are just standing next to the main entrance because I haven't done it since I'm here. So maybe this was just a good reminder for myself now. But before I do that, obviously the last thing I want to do is give you one quick last tour on what we just did back there in the vegetable garden. Honestly, the fennel makes this area look nice instantly because so far I thought whatever I was planting were teeny tiny plants or some seeds and nothing happens. It kind of looks like I'm just like, I don't know, just digging in soil and nothing really wants to grow. But it's just slow because the temperatures are so low. I mean, at least the cauliflower were happy so far. And I know at one point I'm going to have a carpet of really nice beets there as well. But the fennel makes me happy because they have a nice size already and they are looking nice on top of it. And then with the artichokes in front there, I think this entire area is going to look so beautiful at one point. Not just yummy, it's also nice to look at. Just to give you a quick look on how I was planting them, I planted 2 rows and I'm always planting kind of in a chevron shape so that there's always good spacing in between the plants because they need the space. They want to grow into good, decent size, and same applies to the corn. So I was planting them in 2 rows and then again in a chevron or like in a zigzag. And I think the spacing is roughly 20-25 centimeters, which is I think 5 to 6 inches. But your seed pack should always inform you. And corn grows to really quite a tall size, taller than I am. I'm 1.80 meters and corn can easily grow to 2 meters in height. And in order to allow the plant to grow to that height, remember to water it. I need to remember to water it. Today I've done it, so in 2 days I'm going to check and come in again. That is it for today's video with the beautiful sun in my back creating sun flares. But you know what a fun fact is? Now I'm in the upper garden and it's still nice and warm, but back there on those terraces, it is warmer. And I really think it has to do with the layout, with those terraces and with the black landscape fabric literally reflecting the heat. And I think as ugly as that landscape fabric is, and yes, I still want to change it, at one point, I feel that this is actually going to be nice for whatever I'm going to grow there because it is going to reflect the heat and keeps the entire area nice and warm. So I'm really excited to take you with me on this journey and give you updates very soon. I had a jolly good time in my vegetable garden. Hope you enjoyed today's video as well, and I would love to welcome you in my garden very soon again. Take care, guys.